here is how you're going to do this. So now you guys all went, you said, sir, you said, no, I haven't done this. Well, now this is your homework. I want you guys to go back and play the adjective game. And I really want you to ask yourselves. So you want to start as the owners. I believe we are. And write down the adjectives that you think describe your store. You're not writing this down. This is your homework. You're going to do your homework. And then I want you to ask your staff. So I want you to do them separately. And it's really important that you guys do this because, who said they came from a store, that the owner sent it? Was it you? I saw somebody stand up earlier and said the owner sent. Oh, perfect. So what you need to do is actually, you need to write down the adjectives, but you need to ask him to write it down too. So it's important for you guys to do this because it's also going to tell you what your staff understands about you. Maybe there's a disconnect between how your staff is explaining things versus how you would want things out there, especially if most of your staff nowadays, a lot of times staff members are doing two jobs. They are a counter person and helping you sell jewelry, but then they're also the one that's posting things for you on Facebook. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Group head nod? No? Okay, well, we'll get you there. So I really love this. Ask these questions. Are we silly? Are we colorful? Are we conservative? One of the gentlemen that I talked to earlier mentioned that he's in an area where there's a lot of science geeks. And so if you resonate and you connect with that audience, then that's a thing you might want to put up here. We're educated. We focus on certain things. So definitely put that information out there. Okay, so I wanted to show an example of the words that I would have described and we often find with the jewelry box is they are fun. If you look at some of their events, it really shows that. They're community supporters, and that is something really, really important to understand. And they're also very detail-oriented. And I didn't have to meet Christine or Jack to know that. Just looking at the photo in their store and all the little extra details told me that as a customer. And so those are some of the things. That's why I say play the adjective game and come back and say, these are 3 things. So don't feel like you have to do, uh-oh, am I going to have to separate you two? Okay. Sir, you're going to move down 2 spaces, please. I just made a lot of friends. Okay, so I asked you guys to do this because I think one of the things I hear so much from business owners, and I do work with a lot of business owners, is they always tell me they're not getting the right customers, they're not getting the right sales. This is probably one of the first places you could start to kind of clear things up. And then as we get into the other marketing channels that we're going to talk about, this is going to make a difference. Okay, one of the things I want to bring up is this line that I love, is that remember, a confused mind takes no action. So if you're confused about who you are, you're going to be paralyzed. If your customers are confused by who you are, they're not going to come in your stores. And so this is one of those little snippets of knowledge to take away. A confused mind takes no action. So start with your homework of the adjective game. Okay, next I want you guys to take control of your goals. And one of the things that is super important is if you're going to do this yourself or hire anyone to do any kind of marketing for you, you really want to make sure you're clear about the areas in your business you're trying to grow. And this again, notice this isn't just B2C, this is B2B. You guys can do this for business to business as well. So I focused specifically on those of you who have stores, but think about this, which areas are you looking to grow? Which ones are up? Which ones do you want to bring down? What's going to be the conversion? So a lot of people who come in for repairs then find out about custom. So you need to really start to evaluate what your goals are. And you need to understand the things that bring one person in and converts to something else. How many people have actually taken the time and said, you looked at your numbers, this is a good time of year to do this too, because it's the end of your first quarter, and you can look at last year's numbers, start to look at the beginning of this year's numbers and say, we did these percentages in these areas, and then you'll know as people come in for repairs, how many of them find out that you do custom work? So is there a secondary? So, think about that, because sometimes it's easier to get somebody in the door for one area and then convert them into something else. So I think it's super important for people to do this, and I find so many people don't do this. We're doing this right now with a client in Kentucky, Schultz, and we were talking to him, and he realized, well, my father was a watchmaker, and we're very well known for our watches, and we've been working with him for 6 months. This was the first time he told me that background. And then he tells me how many people will come in and have repairs done on their watches and then find out about all these other things that they do. So it's a lot less expensive for me to run a Google ad focused on a type of repair than it is to focus on the bridal side. So this is where I want you guys to do. This is like your second part of your homework. So you're going to figure out your personality, and then you're going to start to figure out what your goals are, the areas that you want to grow, and the relationships in the areas that will convert. So again, like repair or men's cufflinks. Now, men's fashion jewelry, depending upon where you are, is on the rise in certain areas. So these are certain things that I want you guys to think about.